Hello, today we're going to explore multivariate analysis for marketing research, and we'll be using Excel in our analysis. So we're going to start by just a quick reminder of Excel functions which we will use today, and then we will explore what is multivariate analysis, why do we perform multivariate analysis, and how to perform multivariate analysis. So in the beginning, I just want to explain the context. So this is supposedly a data set which describes a survey, research done in an ice cream shop. So it asks questions like the gender, age, the amount spent in the ice cream shop, the number of children who came with the customer, and also how did they hear about the store, and what do they like most about the store, and their favorite menu item. So we're gonna use this example data set just to illustrate. For a start, we want to create some kind of a table, and there are several ways to do that. So I'm just gonna start with the raw data here, and we can, for example, if you just go to data, can insert a filter. So if we insert a filter, then we can sort our customers by age or by gender, amount spent, or any other variable. We could also, instead of using a filter, we could just insert a table from the home page. So just choose any format of a table and check that the table has headers, or we could just insert a pivot table. So I'm gonna just use a filter here. So just go to data set and use a filter. We're going to try to create a pivot table. So if we just select any cell inside this table here and then go to the insert and insert a pivot table inside a new sheet. So now we can actually create a new table, and we can create the table, for example, explore gender versus the amount spent. So here it's giving us a sum, so obviously we don't want the sum, we maybe want the average, so we can change this to the average. So now we can see that there is a small difference in the average spending between men and women. We can, if we want to express this in a chart, again, we can just select a cell inside the pivot table and then insert a chart, so that this chart just gives us the average amount spent between males and females, and we can change the options of this chart just like as we do normally in Excel. So this is how we create a pivot table. And this is also as we explain how to create pivot charts. Other important key functions is the sum function. So it's just basically sum. We want to, for example, add any range. So we can just use the sum function here. So this is auto sum. We could also use an average function. So if we use an average function, we just say, so here we're averaging the age. So if we just say equals average, and then we choose the range, which is from C2 to C51. So it will give us out the average. Notice that we have here, we can also know how many entries we have here. So we can, by dividing the sum divided by the responses, so it is bringing us the same age average. So this is how we get average. We can also count, for example, how many females here. So we can say count if then the range. So here is telling us that there are 24 females in this sample. So if we use this for males, count if just to make sure, if again V2 to V51 male. So we have 26. So again they add up to 50. So this is how to use the count if function. If we want to get the standard deviation, we can use this function. We could also convert some of the ratios or the numbers into nominal data. So I'll give an example here. So if we wanted to, for example, convert the age here into an age group. So in this case, we have to define first our age groups and then use an if function, a nested if function, in order to see or to place the age into one age group. So I'm gonna give you an example here. So here I have created this function. So here it says if C2 is smaller than 13, then it's a child. If C2 is smaller than 20, then it's a teen. If C2 is smaller than 60 and older than 20, then it's an adult. Otherwise, a senior. So this is a kind of a nested if function. So it is again saying if the age is smaller than 13, then it's a child. If it's between 13 and 20, then it's a teen. If it's between 20 and 60, it's an adult. If it's 60 and above, then it's senior. So let us start analyzing the data, again using Excel. If we want to just use univariate analysis, we've just seen that, for example, if we take the average of spending by customer, or the average age. So here, if this is the amount spent, so we can here, for example, get the average of spending. So this gives us an average of $15 spent. But the problem here is that we are masking, when we use univariate analysis, we mask some of the important differences between different groups of users, or for example different segments. So that is why we use multivariate analysis, in order to reveal the differences between different groups of users, different clusters, or different strata of users. So that is why we use multivariate analysis. Sometimes when we use multivariate analysis, it reveals that there is no difference between different groups of users, and very often it shows us that there are differences between different groups of users, for example, of different age, or of different gender, or people in the ice cream example, people coming with children, or people just coming on their own. So we're going to explore that using this data set. So again, this is the data set, and if we do univariate analysis, we just, for the amount spent, we just find out that the average spent is $15. So how do we do multivariate analysis? Before doing multivariate analysis, I'm going to do a number of additions to the raw data, so it makes it easier for us to do this analysis, to enable us to do analysis. So I'm going to start by adding an age group. So here in the raw data, we just had age. So we just had age and it varied from 6 or even less than that, maybe 5 and 4, up to 73. So now I'm going to add a column for the age group, and as we just explained, I'm going to say that anyone who's smaller than 13 we consider a child. If they're between 13 and below 20, then they are teens. If they are between 20 but less than 60 years of age, then they're adults. If they are older than 60, then they are seniors. So here I've added this I've added this column here, and I'm going to add also another column which uses the number of children, but turn this, instead of being a number, turn it into a nominal value without children, with children. So anyone who's coming on their own, so that is 0, we will call that without children, and anybody who's coming with 1 or more children, then we will just say coming with children. So again, we used an if statement. So we say if f2, which is the number of children, is bigger than 0, then the customer is coming with children. If it is otherwise, it is they coming on their own without children. So we'll just use these labels. If f2 is bigger than 0, then with children, otherwise without children. So that is the syntax of this function. I'm going to add also an additional column here for the amount spent per person. So the amount spent here is just a value which the customer pays, but if they are coming with several children, then they are probably paying for these children. So we want to know the amount spent per person. So I added this. So basically this just equals the amount spent divided by 1 plus the number of children with them. So if there are no children, then it's 0. So the $2 becomes $2. But if there is one a child coming with a customer, then 3 divided by 1 plus 1, so 3 divided by 2, that's $1.5. So I added these 3 just to give an example. I'm gonna highlight these 3 which I added, so just you're aware of these additions. So here, amount spent per person, and this with. So these 3 columns I added to the raw data. And again, this is just an example of how to prepare data before actually starting the analysis. So I've added these. Now I'm going to work with this table and start creating pivot tables. So I'm going to start creating a pivot table. So I'll just go insert a pivot table here, and I'll choose a new sheet. So it has created my pivot table. So what do I want to analyze? So for example, I want to know customers who are coming with children or without children. What is the difference in spending? So I'll just choose here coming with or visiting with or without children, and then I will also see if there's a difference in the amount spent. So this is again bringing me the sum. So I want to choose this as average and see what it yields. Try to reduce the decimals. So it is actually giving me quite a difference. So if I here insert the pivot table, it would show me that customers who are coming with children, they spend almost more than twice the amount spent by customers who are coming without children. So, and this is what we're showing here in this analysis. Okay, so we could explore another area. So let us say we want to know if there is a difference between different people with different age groups in what they like most about the store. So we can just go to our table here and create a new pivot table, or we can just copy this pivot table here and paste it here again and just change slightly the values. So instead of amount spent, I'm going to talk about age group and why they like. So what do you like most about the store? And I'm gonna use this as columns, and I'm gonna use this also as values. And now I want to show this as percentage. So it is count, then show as percentage of rows, percentage of row total. So this is what it's telling me. It's telling me now I can also sort this, so I can just move this so that the teens are getting closer. So the teens are just, move the teens, child, teen. So I have child, teen, adult, senior. So now it is more neat this way. I can also reduce the size a little bit and allow wrapping. So let us just create a quick chart to see how different that is. So let us just insert pivot chart and see what it tells us. So it is telling us that children, what they like most about the store is that they like making their own ice cream. Teens, they also, their top reason they like the store is or top feature is that also making their own ice cream. For adults and seniors, their most important quality of this ice cream shop is that they see the children mix and match offer. So probably some kind of a discount if there are several orders. So it's kind of a mix and match discount. So let us have a look here. So again, this is how it is represented here. Here is actually representing with children, without children, how they are different in their top reason for coming. So let us try to perform that ourselves in Excel. So here again, let us copy this. Let's copy this, and we will keep without children. We will remove the average amount, so we remove this field, and then we try to see the top reason. What do you like most? What do you like most? And again, we try to use this as a percentage of total row. So then we can create this. We can create a pivot table, pivot chart. So now this pivot chart here is showing us that customers coming with children, their top quality that they like about this ice cream shop is that the children mix and match offer, while those coming without children, what they love most is making their own ice cream option. So again, this is what we're showing here in this in this chart. So again, if we want to analyze the age group, so if we analyze the age group, against the spending, so what do we do? So now we go again to our data here, and we can copy this. This already has age group, so we can just copy this here, and then we can just remove what you like most. And now we can look at the amount spent per person. So this is the amount spent per person, and we want to see the average. And then we can also see the total amount spent. So instead of amount spent per person, so just choose amount spent. And again, we can just use this as an average. Now we can insert our chart. Just go insert pivot chart here. So this is total average spend per customer, and here is average spending per person. So the difference here is that here the customer could be paying for several children with him or her. So here we can see obviously that the children, they are their average is very low. It's like $2.5. Again, children here is, we defined it as anyone who's under 13 to 19. That is we define it as teens. So the average for teens is nearly $6. The average for adult is nearly $7 per person, and for seniors it's almost like $9 per person. But as average spending per customer as a whole, so we can see that the seniors are spending almost $28, $28.30. For the adults is $15.07, teens $6.43, and children 2.5. So again, this is a useful analysis. If we wanted to know who's contributing most to our sales, so we can do this again, but this time we could actually, instead of using, so instead of using average, we could use a sum. So we can just use a sum here and also show it as, this time we'll just show it as percentage of column total. So now we can see how much each segment is contributing to our sales. So if we insert here this pivot chart, so here we could actually use maybe a pie chart. So here in this pie chart, we see that the adults are the biggest contributors to our sales in general. Which is it's probably because there are more adults visiting the store, and although the seniors spend on average highest, but in total adults are actually contributing almost more than half, 54% of our sales, as compared with seniors who are 37%. So this is telling us what is the average invoice per senior, and this is telling us the contribution to our overall sales. We could, if we also chart spending versus age, we would get some almost a trend here that we can see with the increase of age, that the spending increases. Let's create a new table. So let us we select any cell here, and then we insert a pivot table, new sheet, And now we call this sheet how they heard about us. This sheet with or without children, so we did it. So here we discussed with or without children, and also and age groups. So we explored behavior for different age groups and for the segments with and without children. And here now we're going to try to explore if different age groups actually have a preferred method of communication or promotion, and so how they heard about us. So we can just start by age group, choosing age group, and then we see the question, how did you hear about us? And we put this into the values, and also we put this into the column so we can see actually different channels or different media. And let us, when we choose the values here, so let's express them as a percentage of the rows. So now we have this table. So let's, in order to see this table in a visual way, so let's just insert a pivot chart and see how this looks like. So now we can see that this again, we could sort this. So let's start by children so that it's sorted. So we just sort this. Children, teens. Okay. So now it is sorted in a better way. So most children heard about us from the radio. So here it's saying 120%. So if we just want to remove this, so we can just say here 1, which is 100%. So now the maximum we have here is 100%. So here it seems that children, they hear about us from the radio. Teens, they hear about from social media. Adults, still social media. And seniors, they hear about us from the radio. So again, so this is how they heard about us. How about what they like most about our shops? So we could just copy this here, and then instead of where did they hear about the store, so if we say what do you like most about the store, so now again, if we just use show as percentage of rows, so now we can see, now we can see if we insert here a pivot chart. Let's have a look at the pivot chart. So here again, it's brings us 120%. So we just go there and fix this here, right? So here it's telling us, let us just enlarge this a little bit. So here it's telling us that children love, for children, they love make your own ice cream option. So they like to make their own ice cream. They like to feel maybe independent, or they like to feel that they are actually choosing their own ice cream. And it's the same for teens. But for adults, they like the children mix and match offer. So again, this is a kind of a discount. If you get several ice creams, you get a mix and match, maybe a discount. And it's the same for seniors. Again, because seniors and adults, probably many of them, they take children to the store, so they enjoy it when they can get this discount, or this, or so this what this data says, and so on and so forth. So we can just see that using multivariate analysis, using with pivot tables, it is quite easy to quickly analyze our data. and try to reveal some of the differences between different age groups or different genders, and what they like most about our store, or where they heard about us and things like that. Maybe we could also look at different menu items which different users like. So again, we just bring our table here and insert. Again, just copy this and change the table a little bit. So instead of having what do you like most about our store, we're going to add favorite menu item, and this will use it as column and as a table. And again, we're gonna use this as, we're gonna show this as total of row, percentage of row total, and then we did just insert a pivot chart so that we can actually see what this looks like. Let's have a look. So here it shows us that children, they like the menu item which they prefer most is make your own ice cream, which agrees with another question, so that's kind of consistent. And as for teens, their preferred menu item is strawberry vanilla, followed by make your own ice cream menu item. And for adults, their most preferred item is happy mix and match offer, and that is the same also for seniors. So again, all of these analyses would not have been possible without using multivariate analysis. If we're just using averages between all customers, we will never really know what each customer group or each user group like or prefer, or which media did they hear about us from, or how much they spend, and so on. So that is, I hope you can see that this is a valuable tool in multivariate analysis for marketing research, and that you can use it and draw a lot of interpretation from that. But obviously you have to start with the analysis, and you can get a data set and start playing with it, doing similar things, and starting to discover your own relationships. Thank you for listening.